There are a lot of licensed racing games on Gameboy Color, but Woodpecker Racing, published by Konami, is easily one of the best. Not just because it has a robust single-player campaign, but it features a 2-player link cable mode that was designed as a focus instead of a last-minute add-on. When connected, players can compete in head-to-head races. Unfortunately, races are restricted to 1v1 only. There are no other AI racers on the track when playing multiplayer mode. But all the content that gets unlocked in the single-player campaign becomes playable in the multiplayer mode, including changing numerous car parts, new tracks, and playable racers. Woodpecker Racing does a lot with a little, but don't let this simple, big-headed presentation fool you. The racing is purposely slower paced, but it controls well, and each playable character, even if they are from a C-tier roster, supports different stats. There are no turn indicators, but you don't need them since each player has plenty of reaction time thanks to the slower speed and accurate control. Each of the 16 tracks feature boost pads and item boxes, which reward the player with Mario Kart-like weaponry, because Woodpecker Racing is basically as close to getting Mario Kart on Gameboy Color as you can get. A controls the gas and B uses items. There is no brake button because it isn't needed due to the purposely designed speed of gameplay. Another subtle detail that greatly improves the player experience is the quality looping soundtrack in complete absence of motor noise sound effects. For some reason, a lot of racing games put an emphasis on the constant motor sound, which becomes annoying by the end of the first lap. Here, the player is treated to music and only a very brief whirring sound when taking a tight turn. It works well, and I wish more racers use this approach. The most shocking aspect is the level of detail and care that went into the 2-player linked play. Besides racing against your opponent, there's an option to swap fastest times, the game keeps track of all your stats, and most importantly, the game reverts back to the main menu if a link error should occur. The game doesn't freeze, forcing a hardware restart. This might be one of the few Gameboy Color games to not hardlock when something happens. From a guy who's covered many Game Boy linking games, this is a godsend and further proves the devs cared about this project. And for a Game Boy Color game, the visuals, despite their simplicity, look great. There really isn't any animation, like the tires don't rotate or anything. But let's just be honest, these are basically moving heads as opposed to vehicles, as these sprites need to work within the limitations of the Game Boy Color screen. However, let's just take a second and admire the smooth rotation effect of the racers. I mean, look at this, and it even looks better when playing on actual handheld hardware. Although there were console ports of Woodpecker Racing on PS1 and Dreamcast, I think this Game Boy Color version is underappreciated, especially when it comes to the 2-player link cable mode. While the Game Boy Color Mickey Racing games and Walt Disney World Quest Magical Racing Tour are other handheld racing bright spots, I'm going to go ahead and declare Woodpecker Racing as one of the best racing titles on Nintendo's handheld. Because not every racer has a 2-player link cable mode, let alone one with a strong emphasis. So yeah, play Woodpecker Racing. Don't be distracted by the big heads and fire up those link cables. There's some good stuff here. But what do you think? Have you played Woodpecker Racing? Have you played any Game Boy game using the link cable? Do you even know who Woodpecker is? Let me know in the comments. And for more Game Boy link cable content, check out my Enable the Link Cable playlist where I explore the forgotten multiplayer modes in original Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. Or check out my Game Boy Advance Single-Pak playlist where I cover every game that supports this multiplayer feature by only needing one cartridge. Links will be in the description. Until next time, thank you for watching and game on.